Alongside me is Sven Richter. He's head of frontier markets at Renaissance Asset Managers. Sven, thank you so much for coming in. It's a concern. We're seeing a little bit of relief on the markets today, but actually on the longer term, we don't exactly know, well, who is going to take Mubarak's place if indeed he steps down, and what the economy is going to look like.
I mean, that I think is investors' biggest concern, is what's going to happen post this, whether it'll be a negotiated settlement or whether there'll be something else. But we feel that if there's a negotiated settlement, things can come back relatively quickly. We know that there are dangers to the economy, but the biggest thing is investor confidence. If there's a negotiated settlement with positive investor sentiment coming out of that, we think things could come back fairly soon.
A negotiated settlement, having a political figure in the interim. I mean, we were talking about a couple of names today. Do you have a favorite that would actually stabilize the situation more than the other?
We don't really have a favorite. We think that a number of them could be quite positive. It all really depends what policies they adopt. And I think that most of the people who would come in would realize that they do need to adopt favorable policies because they need to continue investor confidence and they need to see inflows in order to rebuild the economy.
But Sven, we need President Mubarak to leave sooner rather than later.
I think that's probably true. But I think really it's for the Egyptians to make up their minds as what they want and to negotiate a settlement through that.
What does it mean for the rest of the region? It pushed a lot of the price for oil up yesterday on concern that actually if it stays in Egypt, well, the price of oil won't be affected so much. But as soon as it moves to somewhere like Algeria, the unrest, then investors are in trouble.
Yes, I think that's the biggest concern. The biggest concern is that there are a number of countries, not just in the region, but in the rest of the world, that are facing the same high food inflation and relatively high unemployment. And will these troubles spill over into those countries, or will people be relatively sort of secure in where they're looking at?
Have you identified key countries where a social unrest could be coming that would also scupper investment?
We have. I mean, we don't really want to mention any of them because it's obviously got to do with our positioning. But we continue looking at countries, and there are some that we have more concerns with and some less concerns. But it's always difficult to pinpoint what the actual trigger point will be for these things. It's not always, you can do a lot of work, but sometimes the trigger point is really, so it comes quite suddenly.
Sven, the markets that you cover, it's really frontier markets, so they're the ones that are much riskier than the emerging markets.
Well, they're much riskier, but also with much more opportunity as well. I mean, they really where emerging markets were 20 years ago, and we think that the opportunities facing the frontier markets far outweigh the risks that face them at the moment.
So what advice would you give to investors today? Just wait and see, hold on to your investment?
Yeah. I think really, sort of whenever you see something like this in the markets, it's an opportunity for investors. They can get in at a good price. We know that over the next decade, these markets are going to see tremendous growth, and you're going to be very happy over the next 5 to 10 years.
Sven, thank you so much. Sven Richter there.
Thank you.
Well,